to 29th, at the end of the month, just about at the end of the month. And we have Nadine Calis up. Nadine is a, would you, you know, not that labels are less necessary, would you call yourself a quantum shaman?
Yes, but like you say, the labels, I don't so much associate with them, but yes, that gives a good description of the
And
work.
sometimes a label gives us, sort of gives us a place to start.
Exactly.
And then as we dive in, we find that the label itself is sort of just a small aspect of the larger stuff that we practice.
Absolutely, yes.
So let's dive in with the practice. Uh, what is quantum shamanism?
All right. Well, first, I want to say thank you. Thank
Oh,
you,
sure.
Karen. It's so nice to connect with you. And yeah, so quantum shamanism, I don't, like you said, I don't really like associate too much with the labels. I'll just kind of put the two words separately. Quantum, why I use the word quantum, because in my work, from my perspective, I work with the soul's journey from, inception basically. And so that crosses time and space. So that's why I use the word quantum, because we are crossing time and space, and when you're working fully in presence, your being is fully in presence and connected to source, then we there is no really thing as space, so we can access many different layers of creation, and anything is possible in that space of presence. And especially when it comes to healing, specifically for what I do with the healing. So that's how I relate to the concept of quantum for this work. And shamanism, shamanic, because we are working multidimensionally. I work with all of the dimensions, both on planet and just um, infinite. I really work with source energy, is infinite aspects of creation. It's not limited to, like, just say I just work with the elementals on planet Earth, which I do, but really the grander scale of our experience as human creators and working directly with source energy. So we integrate those all those frequencies, all those energy um, energy flows, energy channels.
And one of the big things, one of the big modalities that you use is sound, right?
Yes, so very specifically sound. Sound is the main modality that I use in my work, and that's why vibrational healing is really, I think I relate most to it. I use both sound and then my hands for light weaving. So it's all guided through me. It's not something that I've learned in a classroom or learned or taken a certification for, unless you include lifetimes of having been
Sure.
chiseled into this experience, right? Like all of us. So yes, I use my voice through specifically tones and spontaneous tones, and I want to differentiate that in a minute. Along with light language, and for those who may not be familiar with light language, it is, from my perspective and experience, the language of higher consciousness. It's the language our body automatically knows. It's the language is a language of frequency and energy and of the heart, and so it bypasses the egoic mind, and so therefore the tones and the sounds can go directly to where they are meant to go without us interfering too much. So it bypasses my ego, it bypasses whoever I'm working with ego, and goes directly to the source of the matter. That way, I find it really cuts through and is very effective because it's, we're allowing that to move through us.
Right. How did this start unfolding for you? As you said, this is a natural gift. Um, I'm going
Mhm.
to take a guess. You spend a lot of time in nature,
Yes. Yes, you have to, right? This is
right?
where all creation, all connection really is ignited in nature, is everything. And I love your videos. I saw the bluebird this
Oh,
morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
So important, that aspect of it. Thank you for bringing that up, the nature. So, like all of us, we're all on this journey together. Mine didn't have like a one big awakening moment that I hear from a lot of people. It's been a continuous journey my whole life, and it's really the journey of working on ourselves and clearing our inner landscape so that we can create that space, that container within ourselves to be clear and hold the energies that come through to work with other people. So it was really a journey of working through my own stuff all the time and getting more clear, more grounded, more embodied. I think a lot of us, especially light workers, come and we're not really in our bodies, we're like want to hang out in the
Right. Right.
ethers because that's really comfortable and what we're used to. um, so the whole journey of I don't really like the word ascension. I actually prefer descension, like becoming really grounded and embodied in the human vehicle because that's how we're experiencing this shift that humanity is going through. So for me, it was all those feelings of like not feeling I was here and not really feeling I was fitting in, um, not really relating to the way things are done and all those kind of things, but really just tapping into my own inner journey and having curiosity and questioning. There's got to be something more. Just going through my remembrance at some point, and really like learning to trust my intuition, and that's a big one for us. Um, and the more and more I trusted my intuition, which I always have had a really strong intuition, but like you said, I really came into the world already with these gifts, so I'm remembering it. And I've had a few major events in my life where I was in that opportunity to really remember and kind of walk through that door of remembrance.
Right.
Uh, Guided to New Zealand. Um, it's almost 20 years ago now. And, and this is what I do. I really listen and, said goodbye to everyone, quit my job, packed my things, took a leap of faith, and I didn't know anyone, anything, or really why I was going at the time. And the journey led me to with 5 just really incredible women who do the work that I do as well. And there's not that many of us in the world, but hopefully there will be more. And they really just they held the door to remember. So I spent about 6 months with them. I kind of stumbled across them, right? And it just as soon as I walked in the room, I remember like I went straight into like a power transformation. So and I stayed with them for about 6 months. It turned out, and they really held the door open for me to remember and allow my gifts to come through more naturally. And that was one of the main things that kind of shifted the trajectory. But, the constant working on myself, following the intuition, hitting the rock bottom, you know, um, recreating the field again after that hitting the rock bottom, like probably many of us, I went through a big sort of nervous breakdown, breakthrough when I was younger. And that was a real gateway because it literally just cracked through my energy field to the very last iota. So it cracked my egg
Right.
completely open, right? And then I had to start rebuilding it um, with the energies of who I truly am. So I think for all of us,
Sometimes, go
really,
ahead. Sometimes it really does seem that, especially to reach the level of a healer, that we need to break open um, the identity,
yeah.
the as you called, as you mentioned several times, the egoic self, the egoic mind, um, which is limited. But it's you used the term egg, and the ego really is that fragile shell, but persistent, uh, and it needs to break open in order us to be who we truly are, to take
Again
that
and
leap of faith.
and again, and even at this stage, with this experience within myself, but even when you feel like okay, you're pretty grounded in yourself, no matter what, even at this point lately, especially over this past winter, and many people might relate again having to re-examine okay, who am I, what's happening, what's really happening here, Even the idea of ascension, which I teach about, and I was like, what is that really like? Really come all the way, always back down to kind of ground zero and starting in humbleness from the beginning of let's just be here and now without the
Right.
celebration. And the ascension story is a story. So I was like re-examining that. Okay, where can I shed still?
Do you find in the tumultuous times that we're living in right now, it's that maybe one business is booming because there's a lot of people who are uh, suffering with, and they might not even be able to put their finger on what is causing the suffering. That there just seems to be this angst in this day and age right now that you know the political, the world order's sort of toppling. Um, do you find that more people seem to be suffering sort of uh, let's call it a low vibrational living?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much going on, and my heart really goes out to everybody in the world. We're all going through this together, and it is really, really challenging. It makes us question everything. I think when you get into these spaces in the global stage, where everything is really reflected to us, you really start to question everything. And I think, in a way, that's really a great gift. And maybe it was needed to get to this point for us to start questioning what's not working for us.
Right,
We really do need to find new ways of being. And so um, it's, a curse and a blessing at the same time. And I don't really wish for all of us to go through all the suffering. And yet it seems to be the only kind of impetus that um, really kind of forces us to stop and look at our lives. What's not working? Where have we been lied to? What did I believe that is no longer really true for me? Examining our own belief systems and then what we've been told, obviously, that so much is coming out to be shown it's really not true. So um, I do think this is an incredibly powerful moment in time and that we're all going through. It's not just one person. Some of us have, maybe kind of gone ahead a little bit and maybe started to forge some of the past, but no one is untouched by this, even if they don't know it or are not aware or not connecting the dots.
right,
Everyone is touched by this change in some aspect of their life. And we all need each other. We really all need each other right now. So um, I think, in a way, maybe I'm hoping we'll look, wow, this really helped us to reach out to people and to really connect and to crave that human connection again, because I think we're getting really far away from that. And to be reminded that we're human, we're all human, we're all just human to human. And once we can really drop into connecting heart to heart and soul to soul without the other stuff, then we start slowly, right, rebuilding a
right.
new, and people need each other right now. Healers need other people as well as people are looking for new alternative ways to cope because the ways that they use is not working anymore. So,
Good. Beautiful answer, Nadine.
thank
Thank you for that. Hey, are you ready for a couple questions?
Sure, sure, let's do it.
Um, in quantum physics, the observer influences reality simply by looking at it. How would you use this principle to heal trauma stored in a person's energy field before they manifest as physical illness?
Hmm. Let's break that down a bit. So, just by looking at it, I'm not sure about that, to be honest. Can you just repeat that one more time because I can't say
Sure.
that. Mhm.
So, in quantum physics, the observer influences reality simply by looking at it. How would you use this principle as the observer to heal trauma stored in a person's energy field before they manifest as an illness?
Yes. So I kind of work a little differently because I'm not, I'm just a container. I'm holding space for the experience for someone. So I never say, oh, I'm doing the healing for someone, I'm healing someone. No, no, not ever. The person is, um, everything is in everybody's field, right? So the person is presenting in their own energy field. whatever it is that they want to be experiencing or they might want help with. So all I do is I listen. I'm just listening to what's there and holding a space for it. Um, and that's going back to the quantum and going back to being in the zero space. So when you are in the true presence in the quantum, you are just holding space for things to move through, co-creating with source, I would say. Um, and and we get out of our own way and we let that process unfold without our sort of egoic input necessarily, um, or control. So I think it's really about an allowance and about a holding space and about a beingness. Um, I'm not sure if I answered the question directly.
I think so. I mean, you're explaining your process, and that's the root of it's the root of the question is, you know, the process that you use to bring about to facilitate, help facilitate an actual healing.
Yeah. So
Um,
listen, I really think it's up to each individual. And I also, work with layers and layers and layers of layers because we are layers and layers and layers of layers. We're such an incredible and complex species, and there's so much to us. And so, healing, people talk about miraculous overnight healings. I don't particularly I do believe it's possible, but I don't really see it like that. I think you might meet a person at the time where they're just ready and open to have their experience, and you met them in the right time for that. So it, could
right,
create what looks like a miraculous healing. I think people are, very complex, and there's so much to healing and so much trauma that we carry from past lifetimes, from this lifetimes, and ourselves and our emotions and our organs. There's so many layers to addressed, and they all have to work at their own timing. And I'm not forcing anybody's timing. So whatever they're presenting in the moment is where we're going to work. And then the cool thing, though, about this work I really like, I have to say, I think it's really cool work. Just I get to experience it too because it flows to me. It's really quite fascinating. But that just the connectivity of everything, how everything is connected to everything else. And when you work on one layer, how it gets then back integrated into the field to then expand and then bring up another layer, that gets back integrated into the field and then brings up another layer. It's just such a beautiful process, and it's not an overnight process. And I very much value that and respect people's own journey and their timing and timing of source as well. So there's a lot to consider there. um, and we work at where you're at. And each time that we work on something that you're ready either to move through or to release, we shift frequency, which then allows for new opportunities to come into your field, new experiences, and allows for you to then have also a different perspective on maybe the same thing that you've been experiencing. So there's many, many different layers to it. And I think that's really just so fascinating to experience. And I always feel so humbled and truly humbled that, to be trusted with people's energy fields. To me,
sure,
they're very precious. And I take it very seriously and with a lot of respect. And so I tread very gently with people's fields because you don't want to ever force things,
right.
my force upon something. Yeah.
We have another question. Does your work with DNA help speed up the natural process of human evolution to a higher consciousness?
Um, Again, I will say I meet you where you're at. So I don't really determine that, but the work activates absolutely where you're at. And sometimes it's in your field and it will be sort of received and activated when you're quite ready to meet that frequency. Um, but what the work also does is, and what I'm particularly, that's kind of my niche or expertise, I would say, is that I help remove old codes. So like old dark codes or the things that are the old programming, belief systems, things that are old trauma that are stuck and they're really no longer serving, and the body's wanting to move and release it through.
Right.
I'm able to help clear that, and that's including old DNA that we are no longer, we're we're opening newer channels of DNA that have been in there, but latent that are now being activated. So I do both. I help to remove what is no longer needed while helping to activate the latent DNA that we are now discovering. In terms of speeding up the process, um, I it very well can and does activate and ignite your process further, but I'm not going to claim to speed up your process because your process is your process and your timing is your timing. So I'm
Right.
really very careful at just meeting you at where you're at. Yeah. Hope that
Um,
makes sense.
let's talk about tools.
Okay.
What are the tools of the trade for you?
Yeah. Just my vehicle, my body vehicle. I don't use outside tools, and that's what I would love to be teaching people more and more. And I do teach people, and we'll be having workshops down the line. That your body is your greatest tool, and it is free. And so, what a blessing that we were created this way. I particularly use my voice. It is been, lifetimes of using it and then having to remember and trust it again in this lifetime and clearing everything that moved, in its way to allow the process. So I use my voice and I use my hands to light weave. And you'll see me doing that in some of the videos. Those are the only two voices I use. I mean, they're the only two tools I use. Um, I find it very, very potent and powerful, and uh, also to empower all of us to know that we all have this ability. It's a free gift that our body has to help us heal, to help us move between the dimensions, to help us clear, to help us ground, to help us support others, whatever it is. We have it all within us because we really are the micro of the macro, right? I guess in a way.
Right. Right. So do you find that you're using the different sounds that you are um,
All sorts.
vocalizing?
And I wanted to explain. So you had asked before a little bit. I use and I differentiate. So I do toning, vocal toning, but it's spontaneous toning, and I like to point that out because in terms of the tool of the body, there are many tools, and some do like Om, which are more like universal sounds and very specific sounds that people use. But in sessions, I do spontaneous toning because it's very, very specific to each person's energy field and what you're experiencing. And so it's very personalized, the spontaneous
Right.
toning. And it's just a process, and we all have it of allowing, like taking a deep breath and then allowing a sound on the exhale, and just as something as simple as a hum, and we can all hum. We all have hummed, that's toning. And then I take it to sort of an exponential level of, but all just by allowing sound, and each of the sounds um, does something different. They're clearing sounds, activating sounds, all sorts of sounds. And I don't, at this point, label them anymore. And I have gotten away from the stories of even seen. I do get information sometimes and I share it when, but I find that sometimes people hold on too much to the story and
Right.
I love to just let the energy speak for itself and the frequency speak for itself. And then for people to determine for themselves what that makes them feel instead of me telling you, I'm doing this and you're going to feel this, or to just let the energy speak for itself and to really let people feel into their own bodies, understand where the shifts are, because that empowers each of us. Um, but yes, lots of different sounds, dragon breathing, fire breathing. You'll hear me screaming quite a bit. And then, different tones from the light language and various different types of language to whatever needs to come through. And there is really like a process in that, which now I'm comfortable with. But at first, when people are first starting, I would do it playfully. and like laugh at yourself because I still laugh at myself. Some of these sounds are so funny. And you just kind of have to learn to trust the process and know that they're doing something, even though you might not understand them with the human mind, you know. But it's
Right.
really through the heart mind more.
Uh, we have a couple more questions, but before I ask this question, during this process, do you find that the people you're working with might spontaneously begin to resonate with the sound that you're making?
Yes, you know, so many of them, even if they're completely unfamiliar to this work or like even a little hesitant of it because it can be a little different for some people. Um, Often I hear at the end, wow, you know, that just felt so familiar. Those sounds
Right.
seem so familiar. And I was like, yeah, because we all have them and they're all coming through us, you know, and they tap the right place within each of us. um, That creates a resonance and a remembrance, you know, it helps remember.
I could see myself thinking, or even saying, "Wow, I've never made that sound before,"
Yeah,
um, and the healing that follows, the especially when you are resonating with someone,
yeah,
and it happens spontaneously, and you don't even know exactly why this is coming through or how it's coming through, but
yeah.
you feel better for expressing it.
Absolutely. I feel better for expressing, and I feel like we really don't need to like understand the whole process, you know.
Right.
Feel like, yeah, I mean, I know it helps us. It can be helpful at times, but there's such a beauty to this, to the mystery of this all, you know. But at the same time, we get to tap into the connectivity of everything too, which is like a feeling. It's a remembrance. It's in ourselves.
Um, we have a question. Do you find stuck energy more in certain chakras than others?
Ah, good question. Well, it really is just so dependent on the person's journey and the kind of trauma they've been through and what they're experiencing. But there are sometimes themes, and there are sometimes themes in relation to the times that we're going through too that I notice. The throat chakra is a huge one.
Hmm.
A lot of blockage around the throat chakra, and also that's you know, well, I really love working with. I'll be doing some workshops down the line to help release that because I think it's so important in expressing ourselves and becoming truly who we are. The throat chakra, the heart, obviously, and then the one that maybe is not as well known. I don't know what you want to call it. People call it a god chakra or something. It's the one actually. There's one that's underneath the belly button and it's above the second. It's in between the second and the third, and that's usually pretty shut down in most people. It's being cut off, and it's where I is there's an energy center there that allows us to
Right.
connect ourselves, and most people's has been like
I'm
shut off.
thinking thinking in terms of epigenetics. You brought up the throat chakra, and I think of epigenetically that women have been not they've not been allowed to fully express themselves generationally. Uh, I'm thinking minorities who have generationally have been shut down and not been able to fully express themselves. And the healing of that throat chakra, allowing someone to finally uh, this is where it seems like that quantum effect really comes in. That you're literally, and we had a friend who asked this question a little bit about traveling through time to healing not just the person, but generationally
Absolutely,
speaking, setting that stuck energy
so
completely free.
generation. Yes, and especially now, I think it's really coming to the forefront. People working on their generational trauma, which is, and that's what I'm saying. There's so many layers that we're dealing with. But we're doing these sessions, so working on the generational, working on ancestral, working on our galactic origins, and working on all the multidimensional aspects of ourselves, let alone what we're dealing with now, this very moment. You know, all of it really. But also not just I have to say, it seems like there's um, maybe more groups that have had their throat chakras being shut down. But I want to say that it's really everyone, and even men, and even the masculine, because masculine has never really been given the opportunity to express its its real true energy. It's being expressed a mass energy. It's not the true masculine energy. So
Right.
even the true masculine energy has been repressed, and so men are also quite often have so much blockages around the throat because they're not being able to release and express their emotions and all those kind of things, and their truth, who they really are, and being given that container and space to let they just come out or let that be held for. So it's all of humanity, and it's so paramount. I think it's so crucial that we really work with the throat chakra, which is
We
tied
don't
to
talk.
others. Obviously, we have to work
Sure.
allow that to move through, but because especially in this day and age, we we are demanding change. We are revolutionizing our humanity, and we do that when we are able to truly express our authentic expression of who we truly are. Mm. And so we really need that throat chakra. Yeah. So we'll be
Right.
doing some workshops down the line with that. Yeah.
We don't talk of the um, sacred masculine. I mean, we do talk about the divine feminine. We talk about the sacred feminine, which is coming more and more into play. But the sacred masculine really has been shut down. When you said that, it just brought to mind um, how much we have been generationally trained not to express uh, the sacred masculine energy that is present in both men and women.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so this opportunity now that we're having to learn to express our authenticity is both that too, the authentic energies coming through us, both masculine and feminine, but the true essence of what those really are that, we have forgotten. I say we all do know it in ourselves, in our, in the core of who we are, we know that, but we have been shut down so much on those levels. So we are now starting to remember, re-examine, reintegrate, heal, and critically important for the masculine, to have that space for healing. And I have a lot of compassion for that because there's a lot of judgment and there's a lot of males this and males this, but I really only to hold compassion in our hearts for both these journeys working together, the masculine and feminine working in cohesion and unity together, because there's just been so much portion of all of it. And so we have
Right,
passion to that story no matter what you've gone through or who you are or what energy you're most experiencing now. Like there's so much to it, right?
true. We have another question that you're talking about healing through vibration. Can sound or frequency rebuild DNA damaged by inherited negative emotions?
Absolutely 100% yes. I'm going to say yes. It is the core. I think it's one of the most phenomenal tools for that actually. Yeah.
Well,
And yeah, we
hey, one of the words that has come up quite frequently in our conversation has been space,
mm,
holding space, listening to space. Can you sort of offer um, the role that spaciousness itself plays? Because sound doesn't happen without the space for it to um, occur and to be listened to.
yes. Yeah, thank you. Beautiful question. And thanks for hearing that. Um, yeah, yes, space is so important. We have not really been given a lot of that space, that spaciousness, container to just be, to be allowed to be who we are, to allowed to express, allowed to break down, allowed anything. There's always this forceful kind of forward moving energy that is impinged upon us, and um, the space is the container for the transformations. Like that's what we say, holding space, or the vehicle is the space for the whatever is going to happen in a session. It happens through us. It happens through me. It happens to who we're working with. Even speaking together, the voice, just having space and giving yourself permission to have space, And also, the more that we're clearing the trauma within us, we are creating more space in our physical beings. We are expanding and we're holding more space to be love and to have the frequencies of love be living through us, physical vehicle, in our DNA, coming through all our organs. Just space is so important, and giving each other space and understanding, giving things their due timing, like we rush a timing or put a timing on something. And I don't know if I'm veering off tangent a little bit here, but especially with healing, I just, when you take the timing aspect and our expectation of timing, what true healing can happen in its own timing, and it's if we give it space. But what, um, you know, trying to control the situation, and naturally, maybe out of fear, maybe what we've learned, maybe out of programming, our surroundings, whatever it is. But when you give things space, things will naturally occur when you give it what it's needed. Is my feeling, experience.
Uh,
What do you think about
um, I like that answer. Hey, does breath play a role? We have a question about a specific breath. Before I ask it, I just wanted to know.
100%? Yes. So everything comes back to the breath, and without the breath, there would be no going to come through. So all those components are critical to my particular practice, and I think healing in general. You can't do anything without breath. Uh,
Right?
you would not be alive. But using the breath as a gateway for everything, just I did now. I did a big sigh, took a deep breath, I did a big sigh. Everything starts with breath, and it can, over time, over layers or whatever, even spontaneously, give room to open up, to release, to transmute, transform. I don't use a particular method of I I and breath, basically, like during
Sure.
it's the timing of breath, but it's not a forced thing. It just becomes you when you're doing this. You become an expert of using your breath for shifting.
Um, we have a friend that's working on a particular pattern, and he wants to know if this resonates with you. Um, that he has a claim that one can shift their frequency and um, look it in place a permanently after 20 days and lock it in place permanently after 20 days. 12-second pulse breathing, 6 and 6. The claim that 12 times 12 seconds equals 144,000 thinking source. He just wants to know if that resonates with you.
Um, I I can't say that honestly that I'm an expert on the different modalities of different breath. I like the numbers. I think breath is very, very critical to
Right.
healing. But don't know how to really breathe. But in terms of that particular teaching, I'm not familiar, so I don't feel like I can necessarily speak to it. But I do believe that breath is the key. Yes.
I agree with that 100%. Uh, as a uh, breathwork coach and facilitator,
Mm.
um, and this sort of relates to what we were talking about with one with space and two with the particular chakras. That um, you know you can teach specific breath work for specific purposes, but sometimes listening, which is another keyword with you, um, your body will fall into the perfect breath, like you did with that sigh, the breath in and the sigh. Just by listening, your body knows what to do, what breath to take.
It's so true. And we just, I think it's our job to remind people of that they have that inherently within them. Maybe they forgot around, maybe they just need remembering or support around that or whatever it is, but that the body has all the tools. Y-
What I love over all of everything that you've been saying is really that theme, the simplicity of our healing.
Yes,
That maybe getting sick is complicated, but the healing itself doesn't have to be that complicated.
absolutely. I agree. And we were inherently made to be able to heal ourselves. given the right, given the right circumstance, giving the right circumstances like that, that you're taking care of yourself or giving it what it needs. But I just think, and going back to the time, if we take the expectation of time out of most, not out of most, out of a lot of health, critical health situations, that um, the body wants to heal itself. It's like that's geared for that, and we just have to support it and kind of sometimes get out of our own way, I think.
Sure.
Um, yeah,
Um, it's when we think about the body's natural inherent ability to heal, and then we think about the complications of the modern medical industry. And not that it doesn't have a purpose. I'm never one to knock um, what doctors do because they do very important work. Um, but someone who was trained in the art of listening uh, and a medical doctor, what a key to healing that would be. That it seems that physicians have lost that ability to really listen, not just to what the patient is saying, but what's being said by the body itself.
yeah, so true. It is a little sad for me to hear, yeah. But also the listening, in a sense, to empower our own knowing and our own remembrance. Like to um, listening to, yes, to help self empower instead of overwritten,
Right.
right?
I'm a big fan of simplicity.
Yeah,
That my own practice across the board, I always try to keep it as simple as possible, to not add layers. um, because we were talking about healing layers. I don't want to add more layers to what eventually needs to be let go of and undone. If you wanted to give everyone like a simple practice of listening that maybe they could do at home, um, is there any suggestions?
for listening. Um, well, what I mean, I think it's really important if you're starting, you're not quite sure how to listen to yourself, is to get in nature, like you said, to get in nature, to connect with nature, to ground yourself, whether it's just walking on the grass or um, just being quiet and still for a moment in nature and starting to allow yourself to just observe, the art of noticing, and just allowing that process of observing, because then you kind of get out of your own head.
Hmm.
Like maybe you're going to just watch the wind and the leaves for a minute without saying anything, or watch the birds, or listen to the birds singing. Just finding that a space in nature, I think, is really helpful and important, to learn to cultivate your own capacity to hear yourself, because it adds spaciousness, and it also adds calming to our system. So I think I encourage people whenever they can to get out in nature and just with nothing, no music, no nothing, like allow yourself to just be entirely quiet without the distractions, without the background noise, without whatever it is. I think that's really important. And then the breath is the key to, like, again, the beginning of everything. Like maybe you close your eyes and you can just take a deep breath and exhale, letting yourself kind of let that sigh out to really sync the central nervous system. And I think that is
Right.
another component there is really big, is like is eventually helping yourself, whatever practices that you resonate for you, to really help adjust the nervous system so that you can sink into the body. And once you're sinking into the body and feel safe, then you start to really hear your messages come through. And then the other one is really trust. And a lot of us know and we hear and we don't trust. We don't trust ourselves. We don't trust the process. And so it's a little bit of a give and take, trial and error of like giving yourself the time and space to be and listen, to be in stillness, to be in quietness, to take deep breaths, let your central nervous system start to sink. And just like be in the silence and then start to trust the information that you're getting. But another way, if you're other thing, I could say a different way of going about it is then listen to the body. What is the body telling you? And it takes a practice of learning to like be in quietness a little bit, but learning to read the signs of like, how is your body feeling right now? Am I feeling really contracted? Am I feeling really tense? Is that giving me a sign to anything I want to hear about? Like
Sure.
that's the sign. You're contracted. You're tense. You're feeling closed off. That how is your body reacting? Because your body's going to react for anything really. Or are you feeling kind of relaxed or open? Are you feeling light and giddy, expansive? Like it's just small things like that help us to start to notice and then to listen. I think the body is going to give us signs way before we often notice.
Right.
Just really starting to get in touch with our body is normal for us.
I often remind myself that, um, the original yogis, the ancient yogis, they didn't go to yoga school. They didn't have a yoga certification. The original yogis went out in nature and they listened
Yeah.
deeply, deeply, and they heard the natural mantras that take place in nature. Uh, they watched animals and how they moved and how they breathed, and they incorporated it in their own movement to develop the asanas, the postures. Um, and we have the ability to be those same ancient yogis if we go out and we listen and we watch, we observe.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we were intended for that. We've just gotten away from that, fortunately, for, lots of valid reasons. But I feel like going back to what we talked about at the beginning, like people are seeking something that feels missing in them, that, things aren't working. What I've tried is not working. The system is not working for me anymore. And so coming back to just the very basics, that simplicity you were saying of, learning to trust ourselves, being really connected with ourselves and connected with nature is really one and the same. And everything is there. And if I can take it to the next level, I wanted to just share as we go through this evolutionary shift in consciousness, that's where we're going to notice it first, is in nature. You know, before we notice it in other spaces, and we can tangibly say, yes, we've made this shift, and yes, things around me are shifting, or yes, I saw a friend over here. Like we're going to notice subtle shifts in nature and what nature is doing first. That's where it's going to start to present everything. Does that make sense? I don't know
It does. It
that.
sort of leads us into the next question. Do you think we're approaching a time when we will no longer need chemical drugs, but rather focused tones or intentions to reset the body's cells?
I mean, I've always believed that's all we've ever needed, to be honest. So, but I do believe that we are getting to a place more than ever where people realize the benefit of that, and the healing that is possible through that. Um, I do think we're getting closer to that. I mean, it kind of feels like it could go both ways here, and there's like many, you know, uh, it could also, there's I don't know. I'm going to say I'm hopeful that we are getting to places that we are starting to realize our own abilities to heal.
Me too.
That nature has it and we have it in us, yes.
Right. Um, Nadine, do you use sounds or ancient languages, light language, that the mind doesn't understand but cells do? And
Absolutely.
how does the cells translate sound frequency into tangible matter?
How did the cells translate sound frequency into tangible matter, because they shift, because it's working with light, sound, light, all connected. Um, it shifts the frequency of the cell, and then the cell creates. So it really shifts matter, I've seen it, like, helping different organs regenerate or heal, or brain trauma, whatever it is. I've actually seen my environment completely change around in response to the tones. Um, so the sound has absolutely the ability and capacity to shift our surroundings, to shift matter, to shift the cells. It's what it does. That's why it's so powerful. Yes.
Do you ever find yourself breaking out in spontaneous sound, just like you enter a room and just a spontaneous healing of the room starts to take place
Absolutely. All the time.
all the
Yeah.
time?
For the process of allowing and trusting that this is happening for a reason, not to not to thwart the process, like to
Right.
trust this is happening. This is necessary right now. There's like energies colliding that are being asked to move through as sound. And for me, because I'm a channel of sound, I clear energy. I'm a vessel for clearing for the planet and for people, and actually galactically as well. That is like almost is my service. Like I have to. Like I can't help it. Like it literally it comes through me, and I'm like I have to let it out. It's very hard. I used to have to run away and hide,
Oh, well,
like scream or whatever it is I needed to do to move the energy. Now I don't, because um, I'm comfortable with that, and more people are comfortable with that. But yes, it's very, and I trust if that happens, because sound is going to move and clear things for you. It's also it's going to do. It has its innate consciousness. It has its innate intelligence that is using you as a vessel, and um, it's really important. I think it's very important because it's moving. It's helping you heal. It's helping you clear. It's helping you clear the room. Maybe you had chosen or contracted to be a vessel in this moment for that. I think very important to trust yourself with that. It's
sure. Do you ever find that a spontaneous motion follows the sound,
yes,
like ecstatic dancing, perhaps?
yes, yes. They, I think, are hand in hand, um, and one might precede the other. I think they're interchangeable in terms of one might precede the other. Maybe you start, like, you'll see me if the energy is moving through. I'm usually starting to move like this first, and then it builds, and then it has a voice to be shared. But all of those are incredible tools for healing. The movement, the voice, the breath. I mean, they're very simple things that our body was meant to do, and they're all interchangeable, and they're all work together, not in isolation. So it's really, again, about the trusting and the following and the allowing whatever the body. I really trust the body. I think it's extremely intelligent, you know.
Right.
So I believe in its process, and I empower its process to do what it needs to do. I'm sure as a
Um,
yogi, you go into spontaneous movement, like your body
right.
wants to, um, without the specific asanas, like if you give yourself the impetus of the breath, the body will lead you into the right movement to move, the energetical organ. That's right.
The highest expression of yoga is when it becomes a spontaneous flow
Yes.
of asanas. And there have been some masters who just they demonstrate it so beautifully. Um, and you look at it, and you think, I've never seen this done like this before.
Yeah.
Um,
And you think it's like impossible almost. Some of the movements, you're like, just from experience, like, how did I even get into that? I'm so like not flexible and things, and I'm
right,
like, even do that. And it was because the body just moved me in that direction. It with the
sure.
breath.
My big worry is never how did I get into it. My question is
Yeah.
always how am I going to get out of this? I found myself here with my leg around my head. How am I ever going to get out of this posture?
Yeah. Like
Um,
with the breath again, right?
right. So I wanted to ask maybe. Oh, Kat, I'm sorry. What was your question? Kat, can you ask it one more time, please? I'm sorry. Um, I was gonna ask maybe one, two more questions, and then I really want to get to um, what's going on, what um, what you're working on. What are you working on with our good friend Elise?
Sure.
Where can people contact you? Um, but let's
And I would love
see.
if we have time, if you'd like, I could, to do like just a little example of, could do like a small transmission here. If people are interested and just kind of
Oh yes, yes, for sure.
express.
Um, I want to make sure that I ask the question from Kat, and we will do a question from Mustafa, a friend of ours, who says, um, "Are we human beings undergoing a spiritual experience, or are we cosmic frequencies that have forgotten their origins and imprisoned themselves in clay bodies?"
um, I think it's not mutually exclusive. I think we are spiritual beings having in a human body having a human experience that will then enable us to have our most expanded spiritual experience. I think that's the shift that we're going through, is to be able to hold um, that most expanded expression of love of our God selves in the physical body. It's never been done before. Like having to, to be able to know it through the physical vehicle. So I think they're both um, interconnected.
Okay. This is a question from Kat. Uh, do you have your own understanding of what the root cause of an illness is based on where it's located, such as asthma?
Um, it depends on each person. So I find it very personalized. And I am very extremely intuitive. That's what I do. I'll just go directly to the source of whatever is going on in the body, which is a combination of stuck energy. Where is that stuck come from? Why is it not moving? I don't go through the analysis process in my healings. It just it all we just move without with the sound, but it's very interconnected. And there's so many components. It's again very specific to each person's journey, but it's a combination of their emotions, unexpressed emotions, and um, I mean, I can't really break it down. I think it's always a combination of physical, of the mental, of the spiritual, and the emotional working together. And when there is one that is not flowing, then we get stagnation, and so then we help move the stagnation. But it's usually there's always an emotional component involved, as far as I'm concerned or have experienced.
Okay. All right. So, are you ready? Yes. One more question. Is love of mystery specifically beneficial?
Could you say that again? I didn't hear that.
Is the love of mystery specifically beneficial?
The love of mystery,
Uh-huh.
particularly beneficial. Oh, I love that. Yeah, and I would say yes, because it allows for the unknown. It allows for infinite possibility. If we think we have control and know everything, you don't allow for anything else. So, and we don't know everything. We are a co-creation. We are powerful God beings, but we're co-creating with Source. So you always have to have that allowance for the other component, which is the mystery. Um, and I think it's the most beautiful part of being human,
Oh,
experiencing humanity. But yes,
awesome answer. Great
pardon?
question. Great question and awesome answer.
Oh, thank
Uh,
you.
thank you for that.
Yeah, and thanks for everybody who is here today. I really appreciate being able to connect with you and that you are showing up here. And thank you, Yogi, as well, for this opportunity and to connect with you. Finally, get to meet you.
Okay. Um, for people who don't know, Nadine and I have a connection. that outside of YouTube, we are both friends with a very, very amazing person. And those here on my channel would know her as Empress of the New Earth. You and I know her as Elise,
Yeah.
and she really has been a great friend.
Yeah, and we probably, we've known her probably around the same amount of time, I think, too. I was just remembering that I've known Elise for about 20 years now.
Right.
And so, yeah, and what a beautiful connection. And thank you, Elise, for bringing us all together here. This is such a special moment. So thank you. And Elise and I I've been away from Maryland for a while, and I was living in Sedona, Arizona, and was away also in Sardinia, and I found myself back in Maryland, which is where I grew up. Um, and so reconnecting here, and Lisa and I have been connecting with so many beautiful ideas of things that we will be offering and collaborating on in the future. So please watch this space. Elise's incredible workshop starting next Saturday, February 7th, which many of you I know with here with her gratitude journal. And so we'll be incorporating the gratitude journal.
Yep. I have that right back there on the shelf.
Yes. So we'll be using that for self inquiry and um, mindful meditation next Saturday, which is really exciting. So I hope all of you who I know loved Elise and loved the journal as well that she was sharing with the world can join us next Saturday. And we're excited. We have a few things in the works, and hopefully we can come back on at some point and
Yep.
share more of our ideas. I will be doing a workshop. It was going to be this weekend, but we rescheduled due to the weather on February 28th. That there will be a group shamanic vibrational healing, which is where I will tune into the group themes energetically and do transmission, a clearing, and an activation, which is what I particularly do in my sessions. So it's a really great way to get number one, kind of like a mini healing because I very much personal, even though it's part of a group. Um, and also, it gives an idea of what's through the body, through our voice, through breath. And would love to see those there. That's going to be February 28th. And then we have a few other things planned. We have on February 15th, a very special love one for the Heart Holiday. So please do keep looking out for those events. We're really, really excited to collaborate and to bring healers from the DMV all together. And I don't want to say too much about it without Elise, so we'll come back and talk about it
Right.
too.
And you have your YouTube channel.
Yes, at Homelight Healing. And I did have a website. I have deleted my website because it funded genocide and I couldn't consciously support Wix anymore. So I did delete my website to be further. I haven't quite gotten around to making a new one. So you can catch me at Homelight Healing on YouTube. And I do have quite a few free live transmissions that people can go and check those out for things like addiction and other things. I do have some live free transmissions. And then I'm on Instagram, but I mostly don't use that as much at the
I
moment.
wanted to mention that you give a overwhelmingly amount away for free.
Oh, thanks.
You on your YouTube. It's just amazing.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, I just feel called to share that. It's hard times. And whatever we can do to support. So I do private sessions, obviously. I do
right.
private sessions, I do couples healings, I do group healings, I also do work with the land. So a lot of different things plus workshops. But yeah, I do like to do, I was doing daily light language transmission for a while, but on the live tab, if you go to the live tab, I do have longer full sessions that are on there for free. And I hope that they help.
I believe they will.
Yeah.
Did you want to close things out with?
Yes, I would love to if we have a bit of time. And just if anyone has any questions or they do want to connect, I can leave my email address is the best way right now, or through Homelight. at YouTube, but otherwise I can just leave my email address and that
Okay. And people can contact me, people who have my information, and
yeah,
I can always reach out to you.
perfect. That sounds great. All right, great. So what I want to do here is just allow the energy to come through, just to kind of give you an example, but also to bring a transmission through. So if you are able to just stop what you're doing, to be present, so not to like multitasking in this, just to stop what you're doing. And I really recommend that you kind of close your eyes and just allow yourself to take some deep breaths. Give yourself permission to make that sigh on the exhale. Really helps move the energy. It really helps bring you into presence, into your body, into this moment. And just, allow yourself to receive. This might be a little bit different than what you're used to, but try not to overanalyze and just let the tones, let the sounds, let the clearing move through you. Skuri ask aski ashka. That just cuts right through things. Am ak ar aishkur uyash akaka am ashkuku ur ayat am ak isuku yam ashk ar aisur uyash ay okuku uyam ashkur apashak asuku uryam kuku yam iki am ar ek ush ar akukur ukim asuku uya suku uya. take a moment of silence just to feel into the silence. And just using your breath to come back and join us in this space when you're ready. It was just a short little clearing, but I could feel really the buildup in people's throat chakras actually. We were just talking about that, and I could really feel like a lot of tension, like unexpressed emotions moving through. So even in that just short couple of minutes, we were able to kind of break through the stagnation there. And that's what we'll be doing up on a bigger scale. Yeah.
I actually saw expressions of light
Oh, beautiful.
as we were doing it.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful experience. Thank you for that, Nadine.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. You said different colors of light?
Kat said, well, thank you. I had a big release with that one.
Oh, wow. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Mustafa says, I can feel the sound along with the quiet entering the depths of my soul. Sniper says, I love that ending. What a wonderful experience. And we viewers are lucky to have such an experience with every guest on the channel.
Thank you.
All I can say is a big thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been such a joy and honor to be here with you. I really appreciate that. Thanks to everyone.
So I mentioned this to Elise often, and I'll extend it as well to you. You are welcome anytime.
Oh, thank you.
Because of our connection, and also because of the work that you're doing. I feel that we're family. So whatever way I can do to help, feel free to ask.
Thank you so much. And the same is true for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Kat says I would love to see her again, and we'll definitely try to join on Saturday.
Wonderful. Great. We'll look forward to seeing you then. Yes.
And I will be sharing. I have the flyer that you sent me. I'll be sharing that on my page. And anything else that you want me to share, I can share it on Facebook, and I can share it here.
Thank you so much. It's really generous and kind. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to Elise.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye, Elise. Take care, guys.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.